Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jen Schlueter. I'm Dean of Grad Studies here at the Columbus College of Art and Design, a nonprofit art and design college that has been a creative force within Central Ohio for more than 140 years. Welcome to today's event. We're here because now is a pivotal time in retail, and there are none better set than the creative and resourceful minds at CCAD to examine and solve the many challenges in this evolving field. As part of that work, we've launched a 9-part online lecture series, CCAD Knows Retail, featuring industry leaders like Bevan Bloemendaal, who's here with us today, who will share their insight about the retail landscape and what's on the horizon. Before we jump into today's talk and I introduce Bevan, I want to share just a few housekeeping notes. First, we're recording today's talk so that we can share it on our website for those who weren't able to join us. Today's event is in a webinar format, and all lines are muted and videos are off other than for the speakers. We will have time to answer your questions at the end, so please feel free to use the Q&A function down there at the bottom of your screen, sort of over to the right, to submit your questions in advance. You can also, of course, use the chat function, which is more in the middle of your screen, throughout to share any reactions or comments. Okay, now I'm excited to introduce today's speaker. Bevan Bloemendaal was Vice President of Global Environments at Timberland. In this role, he was responsible for the brand's retail experience, both in the physical and digital space worldwide through Timberland retail stores, franchisees, distributors, and wholesale environments. Bevan is obsessed with creating strategic and innovative design solutions for store design, photography, and brand storytelling in a cluttered retail and digital landscape. Welcome, Bevan. I'm going to pass it over to you.
Oh, wow. Can you hear me okay, Jennifer and everybody?
I can.
Awesome. So let me first thank Jennifer and the CCAD for this opportunity. Also, behind the scenes, I want to thank Marla, who's actually driving the presentation slideshow. So thank you, Marla. But I also want to say thanks to each one of you out in this digital ecosystem for taking a break out of, I know, your busy schedules to connect with me on the topic of being whole-brained and the value of that journey. To start, I thought it was important to tell you some things about me right up front. I'm Dutch. I'm a minister's kid. I'm a musician. I'm a dog lover. I'm a Virgo. And yes, the beard is real. So why is that important? It really isn't, but it does give you a little insight and connection into what makes me who I am. Someone with a sense of humor, a strong point of view, as some of you already know, a passion for the process and value of storytelling with intention. And it brings us to today's topic of being a whole-brained thinker. It's a journey that starts with creating a strong creative vision that is foundational to the processes, creating a common vernacular for everybody to use, and a fixture. Now, I'm going to explain what that word means in a little bit, all right, for everyone to aspire to. So whether or not you right-brainers out there want to believe it, you will need a little left brain. And you left-brainers out there will need some of that creative right brain to become more whole-brained as you consider developing your degree or career through the CCAD MPS in Retail Design degree program and start designing some amazing work that is based on strategic insights. Ultimately, having strategic insights is only half the fun. You're still going to need to communicate in a creative, compelling, and visually engaging way that leads to a desired action, an emotion from the target consumer. Creative must be compelling, breaking through all of that clutter of all the other messaging that our target consumers receive by the minute right now. For me, it's about purposeful intention, and it's when awesome product and engaging experience or provocative creative campaign is created without any doubts. Was it simply right timing, the right aesthetic, or emotional in a way that resonated with the audience? But rather, it was effective because of strategic insights that spoke to the target audience. Are there mistakes? Sure. There are those opportunities to optimize and learn from it. Accidental intention or accidental effectiveness cannot be our modus operandi. Marla, if you can go back 2 slides, we're going to go now into say, what is that word that I talked about earlier, that fixture. So the word fixture should be the slide that we're on right now. So let's begin with that word. This is where I would normally see puzzled looks on the faces of the audience right now. All right, so I'm going to assume that that is happening right now into this digital ecosystem. So it is German for the word North Star. And the North Star has been used for the purposes of navigation for centuries. It's a guiding light. It's ensuring that you are traveling in that right direction. It's also an analogy that works perfectly in the business world, ensuring that you have a clear understanding of your purpose in terms, and are you basically going in the right direction. I had the privilege of leading the team that worked with the BMW Design Works group, who were at the time the ultimate internal agency in creating a North Star and subsequent processes in executing their creative vision. So the video that's going to be playing right now started in 2001. It unveiled in 2008. It was called the Gina car concept. Gina was an object that represented the ultimate design innovation in a car by removing the expensive and environmentally harmful materials like metal, replacing it with a fabric ecosystem, ecoskeleton, if you will, with a reptile-like interaction in the doors, lights, hood, and could change the overall aesthetic of the car. The Gina car would represent the highest standard of design and set the North Star for their brand. While the car was unveiled in 2008, it was never put into production, and it's currently in a museum. Gina, however, stayed as their North Star for decades and was the design inspiration for BMW 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 series that you're all familiar with. The idea of the ultimate driving machine has since changed, and their focus now is on mobility, with the overall push to electric and self-driving. So Gina served her purpose of guiding the design and marketing teams for many years. The importance of that North Star in a creative vision cannot be underestimated to rally everyone around the brand. So, slides. Let's talk about this for a minute. I see that you've got a sun reflection now that's coming through my window, and I totally apologize for that. So, the process began by creating and evolving our core pillars of the brand. And that was comprised of our purpose. We inspire and equip the world to step outside and work together to make it better. Our brand DNA pyramid with the usual categories of purpose and personality. If we go to the next slide, Marla, values and iconic assets, points of difference and points of parity. And then we go to the next slide, which is the aligned creative vision, which we will go into in a little bit deeper. So, and then, of course, we have to define our consumer core customer. And then we go into that will then impact our approach to the product architecture that you have. So those pillars are inextricably linked with each other and creates that powerful foundation of how each discipline will work towards a common goal. So with the brand purpose, the DNA aligned, left-brained, we're going to set out to create that creative vision, that North Star for anything we design, create, or make. And that's the right brain. So let's get into it a little bit. For us, unlike BMW, we don't have a concept car. We had a concept boot, for that matter, to use as our North Star as we make boots, shoes, accessories, apparel for men, women, and kids. So our North Star became a mission statement. It was nature needs heroes, period. We will use the energy of fashion to create a desire to step outside and make it better. You move to the right of that statement, and we have now written protect nature. Okay, you know what? We do a decent job of that. And also access nature. And we do a decent job at that also. So we need to realize, but we need to do a better job of both of them. And how are we going to accomplish that was on the inside of that black circle. And on the left, it says, we'll use our passion for nature as our playground. And on the right-hand side, we will use the energy of fashion as our platform in creating relevant stuff. So now, knowing that, it's critical for any process that you understand and define who you are and what you are not. And that would be the intersection in the center of that, in our case, was our passion for nature and energy of fashion was where the sweet spot was going to come to play. And that was where newness and progression would come. So as in our daily lives, I'm starting to feel like I look like the second coming. So I really do apologize. I can't do anything about this light refraction. So I will sit back or something. So I apologize. The good news is that the sun is shining in New Hampshire, which we had 10 below zero wind chill and no power. So again, I'm grateful for the sunshine. As in our daily lives, we live by principles of integrity, humanity, and we're doing the right thing. So again, I'm going to ask you, let's see a raise of hands. How many of you have kids? Do I see hands? How many of you have a pet? All right. We all teach our kids to be kind to others. Go visit your grandpa and grandma. We train our pets not to pee on the inside of the house. I think you all get my point here of having principles to guide us in our lives. The same idea is for business. We have to look at these principles that will guide our decision-making no matter what discipline you may work in. So the next 4 slides, I'm going to give you a peek into what is a principle, which is on the left-hand side of the screen, and what are the aesthetic characters on the right-hand side of the slide, meaning what are the tools that will get you to live that principle? So as principle 1 states, it's to create a culture of transformation and act as a community to accelerate global impact. So how many of you, let's see, how many of you have one of these? Right? I'm sure almost all of you. Yep. $1 trillion company. Hate them, love them, but we can't live without them. I can't even get into my car or turn the lights on in my house without this thing. Apple has created a culture of transformation that we now depend on. It's part, literally, almost a part of our body. We set out to do the same thing for our brand. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to make it a global movement, one with a unified voice, leverage our stand and make it count, have local impact by inviting the community into our family, co-create with them, and create a diverse network, and doing so with integrity of being true and honest in walking the talk. So our second principle is dedicated to progression. Again, think about these things about, these are the rules that we're going to live by each and every day. Dedicated to progression. Look at the upper right-hand corner of this picture here of the prosthetics, upper right-hand corner of the circle. I'm going to tell you a sad story, but it's really not a sad story. All right. So my mom at 7 years old was pushed down a snowbank into the path of an oncoming train that severed her leg. Now, she could be walking on a wooden peg or running in the Olympics. The point is the prosthetic business continued to evolve through being relentlessly inventive. All right. Believe me, everybody. I didn't get away with shit. My mom could run faster than me. So it's all about being boldly original and taking risks. There is also all this talk about being carbon neutral. Well, that really isn't going to cut it with the environment being so damaged, is it? So we need to be thinking about eco-positivity, circular from cradle to crypt, thinking about the choices that are being made in materials, methods of make, and always having an agile and energetic mindset. So let's talk about the third principle, enable to engage. I tell the story of me walking down Fifth Avenue in New York City, and right in front of me is a guy walking with the words, "I'm down free," printed on his back shoulder. I was like, what? Wait, huh? That's cool. As I got closer, I realized that it was an Adidas jacket. Amazing, right? The brand was advertising that they were doing the right thing by moving away from down feathers. And now I knew a little bit more about this stranger that I was walking behind, all right? That he too cared for and about the world and choices being made as he chose a brand that had like-minded values to him. It's all about the storytelling. And this is where you can imagine the store design comes in with visual merchandising, the joy of immersion, comes into play, the physical space. What does this smell like? What am I hearing? The sensorial activations. It's also about your tone of voice and you being vocal and unapologetic about it. Transparency and speaking to your company values with integrity, whether it's a jacket, a store environment, or an Instagram post. And finally, the fourth principle, style with purpose. Nature enriches fashion and vice versa. So what can we learn from Mother Nature? How can we protect her in ensuring the choices we are making are not harmful? And we reimagine how we might build the things that we're designing. There's also a primal confidence that has to come to life here. And it's part of that principle also. All right, I'm going to ask you to raise your hands one more time. How many of you woke up this morning and said, today I want to look ugly? How many hands? I am betting that no one has raised their hand up right now. We all want that confidence that we look great, we won't slip and fall on the wet pavement, I'll be warm in the bitter cold, I feel safe and engaged in an environment that I'm visiting. I think you get my point. Ensuring that everything you create also has a signature statement and is done with a youthful mindset. I go back to how many of you have kids question, all right? Even if you don't have kids, you've heard the comment, oh my God, they're in their terrible twos, all right? Why not? I always told my teams that I wanted them to relive those terrible two moments, constantly asking why or why not. Or what if? Keep that sense of curiosity hyper real. So with that, I'm going to close out this section. Trying to get rid of that sunshine again, but I'm not going to do it. So sorry. Closing out this section of the creative vision, what does a creative vision do for you? It unifies all the disciplines. It connects the dots with brand, product marketing, and community, but it claims your sweet spot, and it is the North Star for the future. So now that you have this, you can see that this journey of creating this whole brain foundation is taking shape. Now we move into the final part. And that final part is creating a visual brand language. So what is a visual brand language? I'm going to ask that, there's a lot of words on this slide. All right. So only concentrate on the words that are in orange. Visual brand language directly or subliminally communicates values and personality, creating an emotional connection and creating a memorable experience. So isn't that what it's all about? At its core, it's a story that attracts, engages, and captivates the heart as human beings. So just look at this little girl's face, all right? That is what we all want to see in our consumers' faces, that look of awe and wonder as they experience our whole brain creative assets, environments, and our products. So I'm going to play a quick game of name that brand with you. And as you do, think about why you are able to quickly identify it, all right? So this is, again, where I'm counting on you to engage with me, even though I'm not seeing you, all right? Shout it out like no one's even listening to you, all right? So let's go. What is this brand? That probably took a nanosecond, didn't it? All right, why? Why did you know this brand? Could it have been the color? Yeah. Let's talk about this slide. Who is this? If you said Louboutin, you're right. Can you imagine the conversation in that boardroom when they made the rule that all stilettos are going to have red soles and the design team rolling their eyes in the back of their heads? Anyone can make a black stiletto, but we're going to make a black stiletto with a red sole so that when you walk down that street or red carpet, I want the world to know that you have taste and you have money by simply seeing that sole. You could also probably name those handbags, couldn't you? Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Why? Probably because of silhouette and shape. All right, let's go to this one. You probably said, come on, don't be stupid, Bevan, right? It's Apple, of course, but the logo is iconic, but what about the materials they're using? All right, they're shiny, they're always minimalistic, glass, they're always refined metals, right? Let's go to the next one. Nanosecond again, right? Coke, of course, but why? Color and the use of that white ribbon graphic element, right? Another one. BMW. These are called the kidneys, all right? And you would be fired at BMW if you tried to change these, all right? It's iconic, and they can be noticed from 1,000 feet down the road, 500 feet, 5 feet. Yes, that's a BMW. All right, let's go to the next one. Who is this? Dyson. I can see some people like throwing their comments in there. Perfect, thank you. Why? Why is it Dyson? Materials, shapes, perforated metal, modern silhouettes. All right. Let's go to the next one. Who is this? All right, sneaker company. No, it's not. Prada. Wanting to, again, let people know that you have taste and money as you walk down the street with that simple red plug. All right. Now, the next slide. You had to know this one was coming, right? All right. Yes, Timberland. Why? All right. So their iconic boot silhouette, the wheat color, the laces, the lug sole. Yes, all of those elements. So as we look at that, the next slide is going to say, but what have all these brands used to create a visual brand language? All right. So they have used distinctive, iconic brand assets that are able to evoke the brand in the memories of our consumers. Simply put, these are assets that are creative alternatives to not only showing the brand logo. So sometimes that brand logo is someplace else, but it helps create a larger brand awareness when used in conjunction with a logo, like color, materials, tone of voice, silhouette, visuals, all help create that powerful, multi-layered consumer memory of the brand. So I come back to this slide. All right, I'm going to tell you a funny story. At presentations internally, I would ask, but what about the 2,000 plus SKUs that are not that boot? I'm saying this as I walk around the room and I'm dressed head to toe in Timberland. My glasses, my shirt, my jacket, my pants, my socks, my shoes, everything Timberland. So I asked, what brand am I wearing right now? And it was deafening sound of crickets, just like I'm hearing right now. I hear nothing. No one knew that everything I had on was from our very own brand. What an opportunity, huh? All right. So how do you get there? Let's talk about that a little bit. All right. So you've already got your purpose, your creative vision. You've got the 4 principles and the aesthetic characters associated with them. Now we're talking about that visual brand language. Now you need to identify what are those core components of that language and putting it into guidelines and into place with the hierarchy and the importance of it. So let's break it up. It's stone. What's in stone? We put things in stone, and that means it's fixed. It doesn't change. Wood, there's some flex. And then clay, it's very malleable, all right? And there's high flex with that. So let's look at stone. Let's break it down a little bit. Stone are fixed assets that make the brand iconic. They're unique, they never change. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the brand quiz with you right now. If I told you that Tiffany's has a purple box, would you believe me? Yes or no? The answer is no, and you would be correct. All right, the robin egg blue box is set in stone. You don't change it, it's iconic for them as a brand. So let's talk about wood. These are assets that support the recognition of the brand and are semi-flexible. So I'm going to go back to the Tiffany's example again. All right. If I told you that Tiffany's offers a white ribbon or a red ribbon, would you believe me? I think there might be a little bit of pause or maybe thinking at this point in time. The answer is yes. They offer you a red ribbon at Christmas if you would prefer it over the white one. So where's the red ribbon? Where's the ribbon in general for Tiffany's? The ribbon, unlike the box, is in wood as it supports the iconic nature of the robin egg blue box. So let's talk about clay. Clay represents assets that relate to the brand or to a season, region. They're malleable, they can change. This might be a variation of a floor plan that you're providing for a particular store layout. It might be a particular region's nuances. It might be a tone of voice for them or a particular silhouette or shape of the last of the shoe. And finally, let's talk just a quick word on the importance of color. As we did that quiz, you saw how visually engaging and important color was. Timberland has a heritage in the wheat boot, of course, but also in the orange glove leather that's the interior of the boot. So orange is one of the most powerful psychological colors, sparking a favorable memory of nature, a sense of positivity. It stands for endurance and energy. So who wouldn't gravitate to that color, for an outdoor company? So why not use it in a very powerful way as one of our iconic assets, ensuring that we are being recognized not only for that yellow boot, but for the color and the energy that it provides a viewer in all of our products. So Now that you are got your whole brain foundation of purpose, creative vision, visual language, consumer target, and product architecture, now you are set with the intention to properly start creating content. The last part of this presentation today is really meant to visually show you how using this journey of right and left brain, whole brain thinking, you will at the end of the day design and create experiences, products, marketing that reflect the story and the values of the brand in an instance. Here are some examples, and hopefully you can see the areas that we just spoke about and how they came to life for us. So our global headquarters was just remodeled post this process. And as we go through these pictures, you could see that we brought our values to life, the brand pyramid, the creative vision, and visual brand language to life. You can see it through as we were bringing the outdoors, indoors, which was incredibly important to us. The idea of our values, of our tree planting, our heritage, an oversized digital presence within this space also to say what's going on in the overall marketing and all the regions around the world, what differences are we making? Even the seating areas reflected more of an outdoor feeling with ceiling treatments that were evocative of clouds, all the way to our company store and showroom. So this then got translated into our new store design, as received, incredible press from folks at VMSD and others, along with the consumers voting. They voted with their wallets as the design is outperforming the previous experiences. We brought the iconic asset of the tree to the front of the physical space that you literally had to walk underneath it as an architectural element that could be seen from a distance, 1,000 feet, 500 feet, 5 feet in malls and in high street. Bringing the outdoors, indoors as part of our experience and backdrop to products being worn outside was important. To digital screens flanking the entrance and using reflective materials on the underside of the tree logo itself, bringing that kinetic energy being reflected on the front lease line and the energy of the facade, meaning that it looked like it was a living organism down in the mall or on High Street. We go into the interior of the store where you're seeing some of these actions come to life also. The center of the store, we put a large community hub, and this was added to inform and educate the community on the choices that we're making in materials, our methods of make, community service opportunities, and our tree planting efforts. And as you can see up close, how some of those came to life in a very dimensional way. Even some of the materials inside there. And of course, you know what? Plug in your phone, charge it up, you're going to need it. We then go into even our flagship experiences on Carnaby Street, which just opened this past year, and it's got a tremendous amount of buzz, which is fantastic for us. But it's on High Street. It's Carnaby Street is an area that has a wealth of a melting pot of folks. You walk into the store and you can see how it reflects our values, our digital output here, and then throughout the whole entire space where you have different areas within the store itself that bring those values and our purpose to life. I get chills when I see the store. I still love that store. So it's all good. So Carnaby Street, yes. And then we go to even pop-up environments, all right? And these are environments that only last a couple of months, maybe, all right? This one is in Taikoo-Li, and it gives you a photograph of what that represents, even bringing those values to life in that sense of outdoors, where we're wearing this product in a really evocative and provocative way. Let's not forget that we've got some traditional advertising also that this applies to, and in any digital content that you would see, the use of color, strong headline, imagery is be very important, obviously disrupting the city commute, or you're going through what this represents on your phone. And then we get into product, all the way to the product details, giving you that hint of where did this product come from with regards to either the silhouette or the use of color. And you can see some examples here as we go through that you can start to see how color plays an important role in product details whether it's on the footwear or on the apparel or even on the inside of the product tabs and belts. So, I talk really, really fast, and I'm going to end this time together where we began. It's all about having that North Star, all right, and understanding how you can and will make informed decisions on everything you ideate on, you design, you create, and ultimately execute, because you have taken the journey now of being whole-brained. So thank you for taking the time with me today. Make it great, whatever you do. And with that, I'm going to turn it right back over to Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Bevan. That's just fantastic. I want to give folks a little bit of time to get their brains around what you've just offered them. Please feel free to drop some questions in the chat or into the Q&A if you all would like to ask Bevan some stuff directly about what he's thinking about. And I'm going to ask the first question while we're making some room for people to sort of put some language on what they're thinking about. So Bevan, I'm looking at all of this gorgeous work, and I'm thinking about a piece that your presentation wasn't actually pitched to sort of address, but I would love to hear you talk about it. And that is the role of the digital retail space in this kind of work around thinking in a whole brain way about the brand. So can you talk a little bit about your perspective on that, or how you approached the sort of digital world with Timberland?
That's a great question. And a lot of this was done, during the pre-pandemic, clearly. The pandemic has taught us, very quickly that we needed to address things in a different way. It was already going digital as a core, piece of the business. The e-com business is, one of the top store fronts that we have. But you also have to understand that everything then became, during the pandemic, that retail shut down, reopened, shut down, reopened. But what was digital and how was digital playing? And we call this, and I know that the industry is using this term also, is like phygital. And that's where the physical and the digital worlds collide. And how are you going to make that experience even more symbiotic, with a red thread throughout it? It is the top priority for, I'm going to guess, everybody out there. And how digital can be integrated. And it's not just about throwing a digital screen up. That is the worst thing you could do. It is how you are integrating the experience, overall experience, from this to start with. I'm doing research, I'm going to the store, I see an Instagram post, I'm going back to the store, I'm doing some research on the store. How are we talking about it in these locations that is the same? Too often we see brands that their website looks different than their stores versus the things that they're throwing in their windows or that they're campaigning against. It is so important to have that all aligned. So I hope that answers your question. It is the main priority, this phygital experience, and how we are engaging people at a digital level, first and foremost, on their phones. Not saying that the physical space isn't important. It will be, and it's the cash cow for most brands. So that's what we're rethinking right now, is how can you actually use the physical space to drive to digital, and vice versa? How can you drive digital to physical? So I think that that's important to know.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so we have a couple questions coming in here that are also great big ones. So get ready. The first one asks you to think about this one. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of storytelling, both in the store environment and across all brand touch points? And this questioner adds a fantastic presentation. Thank you. So about the storytelling in the store and across all brand touch points.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to who I am personally. All right. So I'm a musician, I'm a vocalist. All right. And I toured Europe singing, and I was going to be this, incredible singer. All right. And to me, I realized that wasn't going to be where the money was going to be at. So I literally then went into marketing and advertising. So the point of that, though, is being that vocalist. It's about storytelling, and in singing a song, the lyrics of that song is going to drive an emotion. And I always thought, if I didn't make you think about something, or if I didn't make you cry, I probably didn't do my job. All right. And I know that Jennifer is, into, the theater and writing. And so it's like, you need to, that storytelling is so important that if you're not driving an emotion out of people that is going to say, hey, I need you as a brand. I need you as a partner in my life. I want you as much as I want my Apple phone, and I want that love-hate relationship, all right, with you. So I mean, storytelling is probably the most important. Just like digital is the means to get that story out there, that storytelling impact in a real and authentic way. People aren't looking for, pardon my mouth, I'm from Iowa, guys, bullshit. You got to get past it. You got to get past all of that. And you've got to really tell an honest story. That's what people are gravitating to from authentic and heritage brands.
Yeah, I love that. Let me ask you this then as a kind of follow-up. It was the Carnaby Street store that you were saying still gives you chills. Is that right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they all do. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't choose my children. So,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna choose Carnaby. I'm gonna choose.
okay.
And can you talk about its story? Like what storytelling was unfolding in that space?
Absolutely. I mean, and I know that we flipped through the pictures, but Google the store, you'll be able to see what the story was. I mean, this was an opportunity for us to really bring to life our values as an organization, the choices that we were making, the impact that we were making, but also trying to draw the community into supporting us, not through purchasing necessarily, but that would be great, but also engaging with us on other things, meaning making better choices, whether that's community service or what have you. So first of all, as you walked by the store, you had a giant monitor that was out there, but it was a call to action. It wasn't necessarily just the latest campaign. It was a call to action. Nature needs heroes. Why? Join us, plant trees. Why? Why is it so important? So that immediately was on the facade. All right. As you walked in, you are going to then be able to walk across a glass floor that had nature elements in it. So you were floating above nature, just walking into the environment. To the right, a giant video screen that was about, how we're engaging people in making their own boots. All right. So if you wanted to create your own, that was a design your own hub right over there. To the left-hand side, it was all about enabling that engagement of telling our story. And that was the community hub table. And that was where you got to know what were the servicing opportunities within that community, what were the choices we were making. And then as you entered the store, you were always touching and seeing nature, whether that was the product sitting on top of natural elements or nature, trees, you were surrounded by trees, moss walls, but then there were these areas within the environment that we called these, kind of almost museum-like pedestals going from floor columns, going floor to ceiling that talked about taking plastic bottles out of the landfills and what we were doing with them. What was the gold standard for the use of the tannery of the leathers? How are we doing organic cotton, whatever. There were these touch points throughout the entire environment that then gave you an opportunity to say, you know what, you're doing the right thing. And I want to engage with, just like that Adidas jacket guy that I was walking behind. So hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think this one builds on that because I'm thinking about the ways that you are inviting the consumer into the brand story by with what you were just talking about. And so this next question is asking you to talk a little bit about how in this way you approach thinking about like diversity and inclusion in designing a consumer experience.
Oh, I mean, whew, that's another that's another topic onto itself. I mean, the idea of doing anything with integrity, is ensuring that we are looking at, a very diverse, opportunities. Whether that's through, the interactions that we have with our community leaders and what have you. But I would say that, that it is top of mind constantly. It is another entire topic, to be honest with you. So I don't even know. I couldn't even do justice to what that represented. I mean, anything that you're doing in as far as making sure that you have that integrity through choices that you're making in campaigns, choices in, models, choices in stories, choices in the folks that and the folks that you're lifting up as entrepreneurs, that you're making sure that those choices are all correct and built with integrity and authenticity.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, part of what I'm thinking about listening to you right now are the ways that the brand story that you were telling was helping the consumer say, like, I feel seen, like I see you and what you are doing, and sort of folding those pieces together is sort of one step in that direction. But let's come back around to that big old question later on in this whole series. I think we should get somebody in front of us who wants to really dig into that question.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's on everybody's minds right now. It's, yes.
Right. Okay, well, here we're shifting back over to the notion of the phygital. So this questioner says they love the term and that for them, it's bringing early development and volition to mind, or the beginning of integration. So they're wondering if you play with the concept of readiness and meeting people as they might approach nature.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I get, I'm not, I don't claim to be a futurist by any means, but the idea of how we can play, I mean, you think about Asia, they don't have, I mean, shopping is, they're outdoors, just getting outside of very small quarters. How could we impact that in a bigger way? So how is augmented reality, artificial intelligence going to help us and guide us into those experiences? Again, driving you to the physical or driving you to the digital, making that phygital experience going back and forth. And I think that there's so much, I mean, it takes time, it takes money, it takes all of those things, but good ideas don't necessarily have to cost you a lot of money. It's, you got to nurture that idea and that cultivate it. So I think that there's this notion of, for us, readiness of preparing you for anything. We're the outdoor company. Now, we're not taking you to Mount Everest, that's North Face's job, but we are taking you outside. And Mother Nature, I mean, guys, I'm in New Hampshire, and Mother Nature was very cruel to us this past week. I had no power, no electricity. Trees were down, flying all over the place. It was 10 below zero with a wind chill. Oh my God, who do I need to go to help me with this? This notion of readiness is going to be your brand. So for us, Timberland, how can we do that? And how can we make sure that you feel that that confidence that we talked about, that not only do I look good, I don't want to look ugly in this stuff, I want to look good, but I'm also prepared for those elements.
Fantastic. All right, this one's taking us back to sort of the beginning, honestly, and asking, has the global pandemic, from your perspective, accelerated or diminished whole brand thinking for brands and for retailers?
No, I mean, if anything, it's accelerated it, because, I mean, to be honest with you, we're never going to go back to the way it was. All right. So that's never going to happen. And for anybody that thinks that, whether you're an actual brand or a church, whatever you are, you're never going to go back to the way you were. So this idea of whole brain thinking in the process is going to be even more critical for you. So I accelerated, because if you're not thinking about it from a strategic point of view and you're only throwing stuff up against the wall creatively hoping something sticks, that's ineffective and it's not done with intention. So I definitely think that you need to be whole-brained in your thinking.
Beautiful. I think that's a great place for us to end today's conversation. So thank you so much, Bevan. And before we go, I want to share a few announcements. If you enjoyed today's talk, please check out the CCAD Knows Retail website to learn about the other upcoming talks happening now through June. We're looking forward to welcoming other retail experts like Lee Peterson of WD Partners and Tom Ramsey of Bath and Body Works. And if today's talk resonated with you and you want to learn more about how you can be one of the leaders who will shape the future of retail, we hope in a very whole-brained way, check out CCAD's Master of Professional Studies in Retail Design. I think Marla can drop a link in the chat if we could have that. This new and first of its kind program is expected to launch later this year and is currently pending Higher Learning Commission approval. And it was shaped by leaders like Bevan, who are part of its advisory board, laying out what it's going to be doing next. If you enjoyed today's lecture and want to share it with a friend who wasn't able to attend, we'll have a recording available at ccad.edu/MPSRetail. And please be sure to stay connected with CCAD by following us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you all so much for being here, and have a really great rest of your day. We'll see you later.